Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh, yes, I heard them all, and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses would bear.
That's no matter, the feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear without wondering how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
Oh, 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore about his neck. Oh, change you colour.
I prithee who?
Oh, Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes, and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful, and after that out of all whooping.
Good my complexion, dost thou think I am caparisoned like a man? I have a doublet and hose in my disposition. 1 inch of delay more is a south sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who is it, quickly, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer them, thou mightst pour this concealed man out of thy mouth as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly?
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
My God will send more if the man will be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando that tripped up the wrestler's heels and your heart both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak, sad brow and true maid.
I' faith, coz, 'tis he.
Orlando?
Orlando.
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when I saw'st him? What said he? How looked he? Where went he? What makes he here? Did he ask for me? Where remains he? How parted he with him? When shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. To say aye and no to these particulars is more than to answer in a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled?
It is as easy to count atoms as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree like a dropped acorn.
It may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There lay he, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though it be pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry holler to thy tongue, I prithee, it curvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden. Thou bring'st me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman when I think I must speak? Sweet, say on.
Thou bring'st me out. Soft, comes he not here?
'Tis he. Slink by and note him.
I thank you for your company, but good faith, I had as lief have been myself alone.
And so had I, but yet for fashion's sake, I thank you too for your society.
God buy you. Let's meet as little as we can.
I do desire we may be better strangers.
I pray you, mar no more trees with writing love songs in their barks.
I pray you mar no more of my verses with reading them ill-favouredly.
Rosalind is your love's name?
Yes, just.
I do not like her name.
There's no thought of pleasing you when she was christened.
What stature is she of?
Just as high as my heart.
You are full of pretty answers. Have you not been acquainted with goldsmiths' wives and conned them out of rings?
Not so. But I answer you right painted cloth, from whence you have studied your questions.
You have a nimble wit. I think 'twas made of Atalanta's heels. Will you sit down with me, and we two will rail against our mistress, the world, and all our misery?
I will chide no breather in the world but myself, against whom I know most faults.
The worst fault you have is to be in love.
'Tis a fault I will not change for your best virtues. I'm weary of you.
By my troth, I was seeking for a fool when I found you.
He's drowned in the brook. Look but in, and you shall see him.
There, I shall see mine own figure.
Which I take to be either a fool or a cipher.
I'll tarry no longer with you. Farewell, good Signor Love.
I'm glad of your departure. Adieu, good Monsieur Melancholy.
I will speak to him like a saucy lackey, and under that habit play the knave with him. Do you hear, Forrester?
Very well. What would you?
I pray you, what is the clock?
You should ask me what time of day. There's no clock in the forest.
Then there is no true lover in the forest, else sighing every minute and groaning every hour would detect the lazy foot of time as well as a clock.
And why not the swift foot of time? Had not that been as proper?
By no means, sir. Time travels in divers paces with divers persons. I'll tell you who time ambles withal, who time trots withal, who time gallops withal, and who he stands still withal.
I prithee, who doth he trot withal?
Marry, he trots hard with a young maid, between the contract of her marriage and the day it is solemnized. Though the interim be but a sennight, time's pace is so hard it seems the length of 7 year.
Who ambles time withal?
With a priest that lacks Latin, and a rich man that hath not the gout. For the one sleeps easily because he cannot study, the other lives merrily because he feels no pain, the one lacking the burden of lean and wasteful learning, the other knowing no burden of heavy, tedious penury. These time ambles withal.
Who doth he gallop withal?
With a thief to the gallows, for though he go softly as foot can fall, he thinks himself too soon there.
Who stays it still withal?
With lawyers in the vacation, for they sleep between term and term, and then they perceive not how time moves.
Where dwell you, pretty youth?
With this shepherdess, my sister, here in the skirts of the forest, like fringe upon a petticoat.
Are you native of this place?
As the coney you see dwell where she is kindled.
Your accent is something finer than you could purchase in so removed a dwelling.
I've been told so of many, but indeed an old religious uncle of mine taught me to speak, who was in his youth an inland man. One that knew courtship too well, for there he fell in love. I've heard him read many lectures against it, and I thank God I'm not a woman to be touched with so many giddy offences as he hath generally taxed their whole sex withal.
Can you remember any of the principal evils that he laid to the charge of women?
There were none principal. They were all like one another as halfpence are, every one fault seeming monstrous, till the fellow fault came to match it.
I prithee, recount some of them.
No, I will not cast away my physic, but on those that are sick. There is a man haunts the forest that abuses our young plants with carving Rosalind on their barks, hangs odes upon hawthorns, elegies on brambles, all for sooth deifying the name of Rosalind. Oh, if I could meet that fancy monger, I would give him some good counsel, for he seems to have the quotidian of love upon him.
I am he that is so love-shaked. I pray you, tell me your remedy.
There's none of my uncle's marks upon you. He taught me to know a man in love, in which cage of rushes I'm sure you are not prisoner.
What were his marks?
A lean cheek, which you have not, a blue eye and sunken, which you have not, an unquestionable spirit, which you have not, a beard neglected, which you have not. But I pardon you for that, for simply your not having a beard is a younger brother's revenue. Then your hose should be ungartered, your bonnet unbanded, your sleeve unbuttoned, your shoe untied, and everything about you demonstrating a careless desolation. But you are no such man. You are rather pointe de vis in your accoutrements, as loving yourself than seeming the lover of any other.
Fair youth, I would I could make thee believe I love.
Me believe it? You may as soon make her you love believe it, which I warrant she is apter to do than confess she does. That is one of the points in which women still give the lie to their consciences. But, in good sooth, are you he that hangs the verses on the trees wherein Rosalind is so admired?
I swear to thee, youth, by the white hand of Rosalind, I am that he. That unfortunate he.
But are you so much in love as your rhymes speak?
Neither rhyme nor reason can express how much.
Love is merely a madness, and I tell you deserves as well a dark house and a whip as madmen do. And the reason why they're not so punished and cured is that the lunacy is so ordinary the whippers are in love too. Yet I profess curing it by counsel.
Did you ever cure any, sir?
Yes, one. And in this manner, he was to imagine me his love. his mistress, and I set him every day to woo me, at which time would I, being but a moonish youth, grieve, be effeminate, changeable, longing and liking, proud, fantastical, apish, shallow, inconstant, full of tears, full of smiles, for every passion something, and for no passion truly anything, as boys and women are for the most part cattle of this colour, would now like him, now loathe him, now entertain him, then forswear him, now weep for him, then spit at him, that I drave my suitor from his mad humour of love into a living humour of madness, which was to forswear the full stream of the world, and to live in a nook, merely monastic, and thus I cured him. And this way will I take upon me to wash your liver as clean as a sound sheep's heart, that there shall not be one spot of love in it.
I would not be cured, youth.
I would cure you, if you would but call me Rosalind, and come every day to my cote, and woo me.
Now, by the faith of my love, I will. Tell me where it is.
Go with me, Toot, and I'll show it to you. And by the way, you shall tell me where in the forest you live. Will you go?
With all my heart, good youth.
Nay, you must call me Rosalind. Come, sister, will you go?
Come apace, good Audrey. I will fetch up your goats, Audrey. And how, Audrey? Am I the man yet? Doth my simple feature content you?
Your features? Lord warrant us, what features?
I'm here with thee and thy goats, as the most capricious poet honest Ovid was among the goats.
Oh, knowledge ill-inhabited, worse than Jove in a thatched house.
When a man's verses cannot be understood, nor a man's good wit seconded with the forward child understanding, it strikes a man more dead than a great reckoning in a little room. Truly, I would the gods had made thee poetical.
I do not know what poetical is. Is it honest in deed and word? Is it a true thing?
No, truly, for the truest poetry is the most feigning, and lovers are given to poetry, and what they swear in poetry may be said as lovers they do feign.
Do you wish, then, that the gods had made me poetical?
Oh, I do, truly, for thou swearest to me thou art honest. Now, if thou wert a poet, I might have some hope thou didst feign.
Would you not have me honest?
No, truly, unless thou wert hard-favoured, for honesty coupled to beauty is to have honey as sauce to sugar.
A material fool.
Well, I am not fair, and therefore I pray the gods make me honest.
Truly, and to cast away honesty upon a foul slut were to put good meat into an unclean dish.
I am not a slut, though I thank the gods I am foul.
Well, praise be the gods for thy foulness. Sluttishness may come hereafter. But be it as it may, I will marry thee. And to that end I have been with Sir Oliver Martex, the vicar of the next village, who hath promised to meet me in this place of the forest and to couple us.
I would fain see this meeting.
Well, the gods give us joy.
Amen. A man may, if he were of a fearful heart, stagger in this attempt. For here we have no temple but the wood, no assembly but horned beasts. But what though? Courage. As horns are odious, they are necessary. It is said, many a man knows no end of his goods. Right. Many a man has good horns, and knows no end of them. Well, that is the dowry of his wife. 'Tis none of his own getting. No, no. The noblest deer hath them, as huge as the rascal. Is the single man therefore blessed? No. As a walled town is more worthier than a village, so is the forehead of a married man more honourable than the bare brow of a bachelor. By how much defence is better than no skill? By so much as a horn more precious than to want. Here comes Sir Oliver. Sir Oliver Martex, you are well met. Will you dispatch us here under this tree, or shall we go with you to your chapel?
Is there none here to give the woman?
I will not take her on gift of any man.
Oh, truly she must be given, or the marriage is not lawful.
Proceed, I'll give her.
Good, even good, Master, what do you call it? How do you do, sir? You are very well met. God illed you for your last company. I'm very glad to see you. Even a toy in hand here, sir. Nay, pray be covered.
Will you be married, Motley?
As the ox hath his bow, sir, the horse his curb, and the falcon her bells, so man hath his desires. And as pigeons bill, so wedlock would be nibbling.
And will you, being a man of your breeding, be married under a bush like a beggar? Get you to church and have a good priest that will tell you what marriage is. This fellow will but join you together as they join wainscot. Then one of you will prove a shrunk panel, and like green timber, warp.
I'm not in the mind, but I were better to be married of him than of another, for he is not like to marry me well, and not being well married, it would be a good excuse for me hereafter to leave my wife.
Go thou with me, and let me counsel thee.
Come, sweet Audrey, we must be married, or we must live in Bawdry. Farewell, good Master Oliver. Not, oh, sweet Oliver, oh, brave Oliver, leave me not behind thee, but wind away, begone, I say, I will not to wedding with thee. Oh, sweet Oliver, oh, brave Oliver, leave me not behind thee, but wind away, begone, I say, I will not to wedding with thee.
'Tis no matter. Ne'er a fantastical knave of them all shall flout me out of my calling.
Never talk to me, I will weep.
Do, I prithee, but yet have the grace to consider that tears do not become a man.
But have I not cause to weep?
As good cause as one would desire, therefore weep.
His very hair is of a dissembling colour.
Something browner than Judas's. Marry, his kisses are Judas's own children.
Faith, his hair is of a good colour.
An excellent colour. Your chestnut was ever the only colour.
And his kissing as full of sanctity as the touch of holy bread.
He hath bought a pair of cast lips of Diana, and none of winter's sisterhood kisses not more religiously. The very ice of chastity is in them.
But why did he swear he would come this morning and comes not?
Nay, certainly, there's no truth in him.
Do you think so?
Yes. I think he's not a pick-purse nor a horse-stealer, but for his verity in love, I do think him as concave as a covered goblet or a worm-eaten nut.
Not true in love?
Yes, when he's in, but I think he is not in.
You have heard him swear downright he was.
Was is not is. Besides, the oath of a lover is no stronger than the word of a tapster. They're both the confirmer of false reckonings. He attends here in the forest on the Duke, your father.
I met the Duke yesterday and had much question with him. He asked me of what parentage I was. I told him of as good as he. And so he laughed and let me go. But what talk we of fathers when there is such a man as Orlando?
Oh, that's a brave man. He writes brave verses, speaks brave words, swears brave oaths, and breaks them bravely. Quite traverse athwart the heart of his lover as a puny tilter that spurs his horse, but on one side breaks his staff like a noble goose. But all's brave that youth mounts and folly guides. Who comes here?
Mistress and master, you have oft inquired after the shepherd that complained of love, who you saw sitting by me on the turf, praising the proud, disdainful shepherdess that was his mistress.
Well, and what of him?
If you would see a pageant truly played between the pale complexion of true love and the red glow of scorn and proud disdain, go hence a little, and I shall conduct you if you will mark it.
Oh, come, let us remove. The sight of lovers feedeth those in love. Bring us to this sight, and you shall say, I'll prove a busy actor in their play.
Sweet Phoebe, do not scorn me. Do not, Phoebe. Say that you love me not, but say not so in bitterness. The common executioner, whose heart the accustomed sight of death makes hard, falls not the axe upon the humbled neck, but first begs pardon. Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops?
I would not be thy executioner. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee. Thou tell'st me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty sure, and very probable, that eyes that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants, butchers, murderers. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart, And if mine eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. Now counterfeit to swoon, why now fall down? Or if thou canst not, oh, for shame, for shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Now show the wound mine eye hath made in thee. Scratch thee but with a pin, and there remains some scar of it. Lean but upon a rush, the cicatrice and capable impressure thy palm some moment keeps. But now mine eyes, which I have darted at thee, hurt thee not. Now am I sure there is no force in eyes that can do hurt.
Oh, dear Phoebe, if ever, as that ever may be near, you meet in some fresh cheek the power of fancy, then shall you know the wounds invisible that love's keen arrows make.
But till that time come thou not near me, and when that time comes, afflict me with thy mocks. Pity me not, as till that time I shall not pity thee.
And why, I pray you, who might be your mother, that you insult, exult, and all at once over the wretched? What, though you have no beauty? As by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed, must you therefore be proud and pitiless? Why, what means this? Why do you look on me? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. Odds my little life, I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No, faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, nor your cheek of cream that can entame my spirits to your worship. You foolish shepherd! Wherefore do you follow her like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? You're 1,000 times a properer man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that make the world full of ill-favoured children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her, and out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But, mistress, know yourself. Down on your knees and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you, friendly in your ear, sell while you can, you are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy, love him, take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd, fare you well.
Sweet youth, I pray you, chide a year together. I had rather hear you chide than this man woo.
He's fallen in love with your foulness, and she'll fall in love with my anger. If it be so, as fast as she answers thee with frowning looks, I'll sauce her with bitter words. Why look you so upon me?
For no ill will I bear you.
I pray you, do not fall in love with me, for I am falser than vows made in wine. Besides, I like you not. If you will know my house, 'tis at the tuft of olives here hard by. Will you go, sister? Shepherd, ply her hard. Come, sister. Shepherdess, look on him better, and be not proud, though all the world could see. None could be so abused in sight as he. Come to our flock.
Dead shepherd, now I find thy soul of might. Whoever loved that loved not at first sight?
Sweet Phoebe.
Huh? What sayst thou, Silvius?
Sweet Phoebe, pity me.
Why, I am sorry for thee, gentle Silvius.
Wherever sorrow is, relief would be. If you do sorrow at my grief in love, by giving love, your sorrow and my grief were both extermined.
Thou hast my love, is not that neighbourly?
I would have you.
Why, that were covetousness. Silvius, the time was that I hated thee, and yet it is not that I bear thee love. But since that thou canst talk of love so well, thy company, which erst was irksome to me, I will endure, and I'll employ thee too. But do not look for further recompense than thine own gladness that thou art employed.
So holy and so perfect is my love, and I in such a poverty of grace, that I shall think it a most plenteous crop to glean the broken ears after the man that the main harvest reaps. Loose now and then a scattered smile, and that I live upon.
Know'st thou the youth that spoke to me erewhile?
Not very well, but I have met him oft, and he hath bought the cottage and the bounds that the old Carlet once was master of.
Think not I love him, though I ask for him. 'Tis but a peevish boy. Yet he talks well, But what care I for words? Yet words do well when he that speaks them pleases those that hear. It is a pretty youth. Not very pretty, but sure he's proud. And yet his pride becomes him. He'll make a proper man. The best thing in him is his complexion. And faster than his tongue did make offence, his eye did heal it up. He is not very tall, yet for his years he's tall. His leg is but so, and yet 'tis well. There was a pretty redness in his lip, a little riper and more lusty red than that next in his cheek. 'Twas just the difference betwixt the constant red and mingled damask. There be some women, Silvius, had they marked him in parcels as I did, would have gone near to fall in love with him. But for my part I love him not, nor hate him not. And yet I have more cause to hate him than to love him. For what had he to do to chide at me? He said my eyes were black, and my hair black, and now I am remembered, scorned at me. I marvel why I answered not again. But that's all one. Omittance is no quittance. I'll write to him a very taunting letter, and thou shalt bear it. Wilt thou, Silvius?
Phoebe, with all my heart.
I'll write it straight. The matter's in my head and in my heart. I will be bitter with him, and passing short. Go with me, Silvius.
I prithee, pretty youth, let me be better acquainted with thee.
They say you are a melancholy fellow.
I am so. I do love it better than laughing.
Those that are in extremity of either are abominable fellows, and betray themselves to every modern sense. You're worse than drunkards.
Why, it is good to be sad and say nothing.
Why, then 'tis good to be a post.
I have neither the scholar's melancholy, which is emulation, nor the musician's, which is fantastical, nor the courtier's, which is proud, nor the soldier's, which is ambitious, nor the lawyer's, which is politic, nor the lady's, which is nice, nor the lover's, which is all these. But it is a melancholy of mine own, compounded of many simples, extracted from many objects, and indeed the sundry contemplation of my travels, in which my often rumination wraps me in a most humorous sadness.
A traveller, by my faith, you've great reason to be sad. I fear you have sold your own lands to see other men's. Then to have seen much and to have nothing is to have rich eyes and poor hands.
Yes. I've gained my experience.
And your experience makes you sad? I'd rather have a fool to make me merry than experience to make me sad, and to travel for it, too.
Good day and happiness, dear Rosalind.
Nay, thank God by you, and you talk in blank verse.
Farewell, Monsieur Traveller. Look, you lisp and wear strange suits, disable all the benefits of your own country, be out of love with your nativity, and almost chide God for making you that countenance you are, or I will scarce think you have swam in a gondola. Why, how now, Orlando? Where have you been all this while? You a lover, and you play me such another trick. Never come in my sight more.
My fair Rosalind, I come within an hour of my promise.
Break an hour's promise in love? He that will divide a minute into 1,000 parts, and break but a part of the 1,000th part of a minute in the affairs of love. It may be said of him that Cupid hath clapped him o' the shoulder, but I'll warrant him heart whole.
Pardon me, dear Rosalind.
Nay, an you be so tardy, come no more in my sight. I had as lief be wooed of a snail.
Of a snail?
Ay, of a snail. For though he comes slowly, he carries his house on his head. A better jointure, I think, than you make a woman. Besides, he brings his destiny with him.
What's that?
Why, horns, which such as you are fain to be beholding to your wives for. But he comes armed in his fortune, and thus prevents the slander of his wife.
Virtue is no horn maker, and my Rosalind is virtuous.
And I am your Rosalind.
It pleases him to call you so, but he hath a Rosalind of a better leer than you.
Come, woo me. Woo me, for now I am in a holiday humour and like enough to consent. What would you say to me now, an I were your very, very Rosalind?
I would kiss before I spoke.
No, you had best speak first, and when you are gravelled for lack of matter, you might take occasion to kiss. Very good orators, when they are out, they will spit, and for lovers lacking, God warrant us, matter, the cleanliest shift is to kiss.
How if the kiss be denied?
Then she puts you to entreaty, and there begins new matter.
Well, who could be out being before his beloved mistress?
Marry, that should you, if I were your mistress, or I should think my honesty ranker than my wit.
What, of my suit?
Not out of your apparel, but out of your suit. Am not I your Rosalind?
I take some joy to say you are, because I would be talking of her.
Well, in her person I say I will not have you.
Then in mine own person I die.
No, faith, die by attorney. The poor world is almost 6,000 years old, and in all that time there was not any man died in his own person. Videlicet in a love cause. Troilus had his brains dashed out with a Grecian club, yet he did what he could to die before, and he is one of the patterns of love. Leander, he would have lived many a fair year, though Hero had turned none, if it had not been for a hot midsummer night. For good youth, he went but forth to wash him in the Hellespont, and being taken with the cramp, was drowned. And the foolish chroniclers of that age found it was Hero of Sestos. But these are all lies. Men have died from time to time, and worms have eaten them, but not for love.
I would not have my right Rosalind of this mind, for I protest her frown might kill me.
By this hand, it will not kill a fly. But come, now I will be your Rosalind in a more coming-on disposition, and ask me what you will, I will grant it.
Then love me, Rosalind.
Yes, faith will I, Fridays and Saturdays and all.
And wilt thou have me?
I and 20 such.
What sayest thou?
Are you not good?
I hope so.
Why then can one desire too much of a good thing? Come, sister, you shall be the priest and marry us. Give me your hand, Orlando. What you say, sister?
Pray thee, marry us.
I cannot say the word.
You must begin, will you, Orlando?
Go
Take
to.
on.
Will you, Orlando, have to wife this Rosalind?
I will.
But when?
Why, now, as fast as she can marry us.
Then you must say, I take thee, Rosalind, for wife.
I take thee, Rosalind, for wife.
I might ask you for your commission, but I do take thee, Orlando, for my husband. There's a girl goes before the priest, and certainly a woman's thoughts run before her actions.
So do all thoughts, they are winged.
Now, tell me how long you would have her after you have possessed her.
Forever and a day.
Say, a day without the ever. No, Orlando. Men are April when they woo, December when they wed. Maids are May when they are maids. But the sky changes when they are wives. I will be more jealous of thee than a Barbary cock-pigeon over his head, more clamorous than a parrot against rain, more newfangled than an ape, more giddy in my desires than a monkey. I will weep for nothing like Dian in the fountain, and I will do that when thou art disposed to be merry. I will laugh like a hyena, and that when thou art inclined to sleep.
But will my Rosalind do so?
By my life she'll do as I do.
Oh, but she is wise.
Or else she could not have the wit to do this. The wiser, the waywarder. Make the doors upon a woman's wit, 'twill out at the casement. Shut that, 'twill out at the keyhole. Stop that, 'twill fly with the smoke out at the chimney.
A man that had a wife with such a wit, he might say wit with a wilt.
Nay, you might keep that check for it till you met your wife's wit going to your neighbour's bed.
And what wit could wit have to excuse that?
Marry, to say she came to seek you there. You shall never take her without her answer, unless you take her without her tongue. Oh, that woman that cannot make her fault her husband's occasion, let her never nurse her child herself, or she will breed it like a fool.
For these 2 hours, Rosalind, I will leave thee.
Alas, dear love, I cannot lack thee 2 hours.
I must attend the Duke at dinner. By 2 o'clock I'll be with thee again.
Aye, go your ways. Go your ways. I knew what you would prove. My friends told me as much, and I thought no less. That flattering tongue of yours won me. 'Tis but one cast away, and so come death. 2 o'clock is your hour.
Aye, sweet Rosalind.
By my troth and in good earnest, and so God mend me, and by all pretty oaths that are not dangerous, if you break one jot of your promise or come 1 minute behind your hour, I will think you the most pathetical break promise, the most hollow lover, the most unworthy of her you call Rosalind, that may be chosen out of the gross band of the unfaithful. Therefore beware my censure, and keep your promise.
With no less religion than if thou wert indeed my Rosalind. And so adieu.
Well, time is the old justice that examines all such offenders, and let time try. Adieu.
You have simply misused our sex in your love prate. We must have your doublet and hose plucked over your head and show the world what the bird hath done to her own nest.
Oh, Coz, my pretty little Coz, that thou didst know how many fathom deep I am in love. But it cannot be sounded. My affection hath an unknown bottom like the Bay of Portugal.
Or rather bottomless, that as fast as you pour affection in it, it runs out.
No, let that same wicked bastard of Venus, that was begot of thought, conceived of spleen, and born of madness, that blind rascally boy that abuses everyone's eyes because his own are out, let him bejudge how deep I am in love. I tell thee, Aliena, I cannot be out of the sight of Orlando. I'll go find a shadow and sigh till he come.
And I'll sleep.
Which is he that killed the deer?
Sir, it was I.
Let's present him to the Duke, like a Roman conqueror. And it would do well to set the deer's horns upon his head for a branch of victory. Have you no song, Forester, for this purpose?
Yes, sir.
Sing it. 'Tis no matter how it be in tune, so it make noise enough.
What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear.
What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear. What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear.
What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear.
Say you now, it's not past 2 o'clock, and here much Orlando.
I warrant you, with pure love and troubled brain, he hath taken his bows and arrows and is gone forth to sleep. Oh, look, who comes here?
My errand is to you, fair youth. My gentle Phoebe bid me give you this. I know not the contents, but as I guess by the stern brow and waspish action which she did use as she was writing of it, it bears an angry tenor. Pardon me, I am but as a guiltless messenger.
Patience herself would startle at this letter and play the swagger, a bear, this bear all. She says, I am not fair, that I lack manners. She calls me proud, and that she could not love me were man as rare as phoenix, odds my will. Her love is not the hair that I do, am I right? She's so to me. Well, shepherd, well, this is a letter of your own device.
No, I protest. I know not the contents. Phoebe did write it.
Come, you're a fool and turned into the extremity of love. I saw her hand. She is a leathern hand, a freestone-coloured hand. I verily did think that her old gloves were on, but 'twas her hand. She is a huss's hand. But that's no matter. I say she never did invent this letter. This is a man's invention and his hand.
Sure it is hers.
Why, 'tis a boisterous and a cruel style, a style for challengers. Why, she defies me like Turk to Christian. Women's gentle brain could not drop forth such giant, rude invention, such Ethiop words, blacker in their effect than in the countenance. Will you hear the letter?
So please you, for I never heard it yet. Yet heard too much of Phoebe's cruelty.
She Phoebes me. Mark how the tyrant writes. Art thou God to shepherd turned, that a maiden's heart hath burned? Can a woman rail thus?
Call you this railing?
Why, thy godhead laid apart, warst thou with a woman's heart? Did you ever hear such railing? Whiles the eye of man did woo me, that could do no vengeance to me, meaning me a beast. If the scorn of your bright eyne have power to raise such love in mine, alack in me what strange effect would they work in mild aspect, whiles you chid me, I did love. How then might your prayers move? He that brings this love to thee little knows this love in me, and by him seal up thy mind, whether that thy youth and kind will the faithful offer take of me and all that I can make, or else by him my love deny, and then I'll study how to die.
Call you this chiding?
Alas, poor shepherd. Do you pity him? No, he deserves no pity. Wilt thou love such a woman? What? To make thee an instrument and play false strains upon thee, not to be endured. Well, go thy ways to her, for I see love hath made thee a tame snake, and say this to her, that if she love me, I charge her to love thee. If she will not, I will never have her, unless thou entreat for her. If you be a true lover, hence. And not a word, for here comes more company.
Good morrow, fair ones. Pray you, if you know where in the purlieus of this forest stands a sheep-cote, fenced about with olive trees.
West of this place, down in the neighbour bottom, the rank of osiers, by the murmuring stream, left on your right hand, brings you to the place. But at this hour the house doth keep itself, there's none within.
If that an eye may profit by a tongue, then should I know you by description. Such garments and such years. The boy is fair, of female favour, and bestows himself like a ripe sister. The woman, low, and browner than her brother. Are not you the owner of the house I did inquire for?
It is no boast, being asked to say we are.
Orlando doth commend him to you both, and to that youth he calls his Rosalind he sends this bloody napkin. Are you he?
I am. What must we understand by this?
Some of my shame. If you will know of me what man I am, and how and why, and where this handkerchief was stained.
I pray you tell it.
When last the young Orlando parted from you, he left a promise to return again within an hour, and pacing through the forest, chewing the food of sweet and bitter fancy, lo, what befell. He threw his eye aside, and mark what object did present itself. Under an old oak whose boughs were mossed with age, and high-top bald with dry antiquity, a wretched, ragged man, all grown with hair, lay sleeping on his back. About his neck, a green and gilded snake had wreathed itself, who, with her head nimble in threats, approached the opening of his mouth. But suddenly, seeing Orlando, it unlinked itself, and with indented glides did slip away into a bush, under which bush's shade a lioness, with udders all drawn dry, lay couching, head on ground, with cat-like watch, when that the sleeping man should stir, for 'tis the royal disposition of that beast to prey on nothing that doth seem as dead. This seen, Orlando did approach the man, and found it was his brother, his elder brother.
Oh, I have heard him speak of that same brother, and he did render him the most unnatural that lived amongst men.
And well he might so do, for well I know he was unnatural.
To Orlando did he leave him there, food to the sucked and hungry lioness?
Twice did he turn his back and purposed so. But kindness, nobler ever than revenge, and nature stronger than his just occasion, made him give battle to the lioness, who quickly fell before him, in which hurtling from miserable slumber I awaked.
Are you his brother?
You he rescue?
Was you that did so oft contrive to kill him?
'Twas I, but 'tis not I. I do not shame to tell you what I was, since my conversion so sweetly tastes being the thing I am.
But for the bloody napkin.
By and by. When from the first to last betwixt us two, tears our accountments had most kindly bathed, as how I came into that desert place, in brief, he led me to the gentle Duke, who gave me fresh array and entertainment, committing me unto my brother's love, who led me instantly into his cave, there stripped himself, and here upon his arm the lioness had torn some flesh away, which all this while had bled, and now he fainted, and cried in fainting upon Rosalind. Brief, I recovered him, bound up his wound, and after some small space, being strong at heart, he sent me hither, stranger as I am to tell this story, that you might excuse his broken promise, and to give this napkin, dyed in his blood, unto the shepherd youth that he in sport doth call his Rosalind.
Why, how now, Ganymede, sweet Ganymede.
Many will swoon when they do look on blood.
There is more in it. Cousin Ganymede.
Look, he recovers.
I would I were at home.
We'll lead you thither. I pray you will take him by the arm.
Be of good cheer, youth. You a man, you lack a man's heart.
I do, sir. I confess it. Sirrah, a body would think this was well counterfeited. I pray you tell your brother how well I counterfeited. Oh, hey-ho.
This was not counterfeit. There is too great testimony in your complexion that it was a passion of earnest.
Counterfeit, I assure you.
Well, then, take a good heart and counterfeit to be a man.
So I do, but i'faith, I should have been a woman by rights.
Come, you look paler and paler. Pray you draw homewards. Good sir, go with us.
That will I. For I must bear answer back how you excuse my brother, Rosalind.
I shall devise something. I pray you commend my counterfeiting to him. Will you go?
We shall find the time, Audrey. Patience, gentle Audrey.
Faith, the priest was good enough for all the old gentlemen's saying.
A most wicked Sir Oliver, Audrey. A most vile mar-text. But, Audrey, there is a youth here in the forest lays claim to you.
Aye, I know who 'tis. He hath no interest in me in the world.
Wee-ho!
Here comes the man you mean.
It is meat and drink to me to see a clown by my troth. We that have good wits have much to answer for. We shall be flouting, we cannot hold.
Good evening, Audrey.
Good evening, Willem.
And good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, gentle friend. Oh, cover thy head, cover thy head. Nay, prithee, be covered. How old are you, friend?
5 and 20, sir.
Ripe age. Is thy name William?
Willem, sir.
A fair name. Wast born in the forest here?
Aye, sir, I thank God.
Thank God, a good answer. Art rich?
Faith, sir, so-so?
So-so is good, very excellent good. And yet it is not. It is but so-so. Art thou wise?
Aye, sir, I have a pretty wit.
Why, thou sayest well. I do now remember a saying, the fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. The heathen philosopher, when he had a desire to eat a grape, would open his lips when he put it into his mouth, meaning thereby that grapes were made to eat and lips to open. You do love this maid?
I do, sir.
Give me your hand. Art thou learned?
No, sir.
Then learn this of me. To have is to have. For it is a figure in rhetoric that drink, being poured out of a cup into a glass, by filling the one, doth empty the other. For all your writers do consent that Ipsy is he. Now you are not Ipsy, for I am he.
Which he, sir?
He, sir, that must marry this woman. Therefore, you clown, abandon, which is in the vulgar, leave, the society, which in the boorish is company, of this female, which in the common is woman, which together is abandon the society of this female, or clown thou perishest, or to thy better understanding diest, or to wit I kill thee. Make thee away. Translate thy life into death, thy liberty into bondage. I will deal in poison with thee, or in bastinado, or in steel. I will band thee with thee in faction. I will o'errun thee with policy. I will kill thee 150 ways. Therefore tremble and depart.
Do, good William.
God rest you merry, sir.
Our master and mistress seek you. Come away, away.
Trip, Audrey. Trip, Audrey. I attend, I attend.
Is it possible that on so little acquaintance you should like her? That but seeing you should love her, and loving woo, and wooing she should grant? And will you persever to enjoy her?
Neither call the giddiness of it in question, the poverty of her, the small acquaintance, my sudden wooing, nor her sudden consenting. But say with me, I love Helena. Say with her that she loves me. Consent with both that we may enjoy each other. It shall be to your good. For my father's house and all the revenue that was owed Sir Rowland's will I estate upon you, and here live and die a shepherd.
You have my consent. Let your wedding be tomorrow. Thither will I invite the Duke and all his contented followers. Go you and prepare Aliena, for look you, here comes my Rosalind.
God save you, brother.
And you, fair sister.
Oh, my dear Orlando, how it grieves me to see thee wear thy heart in a scarf.
It is my arm.
I thought thy heart had been wounded with the claws of a lion.
Wounded it is, but with the eyes of a lady.
Did your brother tell you how I counterfeited to swoon when he showed me your handkerchief?
Aye, and greater wonders than that.
Oh, I know where you are, and it is true. There was never anything so sudden but the fight of two rams and Caesar's thrasonical brag of I came, saw, and overcame. For your brother and my sister no sooner met but they looked, no sooner looked but they loved, no sooner loved but they sighed, no sooner sighed but they asked one another the reason, no sooner knew the reason but they sought the remedy. And in these degrees have they made a pair of stairs to marriage, which they will climb incontinent, or else be incontinent before marriage. They are in the very wrath of love, and they will together. Clubs cannot part them.
They shall be married tomorrow, and I will bid the Duke to the nuptial, but oh, how bitter a thing it is to look into happiness through another man's eyes. By so much the more shall I tomorrow be at the height of heart heaviness, by how much I shall think my brother happy in having what he wishes for.
Why then, tomorrow I cannot serve your turn for Rosalind.
I can live no longer by thinking.
I will weary you then no longer with idle talking. Know of me then, for now I speak to some purpose, that I know you are a gentleman of good conceit. I speak not this that you should bear a good opinion of my knowledge, insomuch I say I know you are. Neither do I labour for a greater esteem than may in some little measure draw a belief from you to do yourself good, and not to grace me. Believe then, if you please, that I can do strange things. I have, since I was 3 years old, conversed with a magician, most profound in his art, and yet not damnable. If you do love Rosalind, so near the heart as your gesture cries it out, when your brother marries Aliena, shall you marry her? I know into what straits of fortune she is driven, and it is not impossible to me, if it appear not inconvenient to you, to set her before your eyes tomorrow, human as she is, and without any danger.
Speak'st thou in sober meanings?
By my life I do, which I tender dearly, though I say I am a magician. Therefore, put you in your best array, bid your friends, for if you will be married tomorrow, you shall, and to Rosalind, if you will.
Oh.
Look, here comes a lover of mine and a lover of hers.
You have done me much ungentleness to show the letter that I writ to you.
I care not if I have. It is my study to seem despiteful and ungentle to you. You are there followed by a faithful shepherd. Look upon him, love him, he worships you.
Good shepherd, tell this youth what 'tis to love.
It is to be all made of sighs and tears. And so am I for Phoebe.
And I for Ganymede.
And I for Rosalind.
And I for no woman.
It is to be all made of faith and service, And so am I for Phoebe.
And I for Ganymede.
And I for Rosalind.
And I for no woman.
It is to be all made of fantasy, all made of passion, and all made of wishes, all adoration, duty, and obedience, all humbleness, all patience and impatience, all purity, all trial, all observance. And so am I for Phoebe.
And so am I for Ganymede.
And so am I for Rosalind.
And so am I for no woman.
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
Who do you speak to? Why blame you me to love you?
To her that is not here, nor doth not hear.
Pray you, no more of this. 'Tis like the howling of Irish wolves against the moon. I will help you if I can. I would love you if I could. Tomorrow meet me all together. I will marry you, if ever I marry woman, and I shall be married tomorrow. I will satisfy you, if ever I satisfy man, and you shall be married tomorrow. I will content you, if what pleases you contents you, and you shall be married tomorrow. As you love Rosalind, meet, as you love Phoebe, meet, and as I love no woman, I'll meet. So fare you well. I have left you commands.
I'll not fail if I live.
Nor I.
Nor I.
Tomorrow is the joyful day, Audrey. Tomorrow we will be married.
I do desire it with all my heart, and I hope it is no dishonest desire to be a woman of the world. Oh, here come two of the banished Duke's pages.
Well met, honest gentlemen.
By my troth, well met. Come, sit, and a song.
We are for you. Sit in the middle. Shall we clap into it roundly, without hawking or spitting, or saying we are hoarse, which are the only prologues to a bad voice?
I' faith, and both in tune like two gypsies on a horse.
It was a lover and his lass, with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny-no, and a hey, nonny-nonny-no, that o'er the green cornfields did pass in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ring-time, when birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. And love takes the present time with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny-no, and a hey, nonny-nonny-no. For love is crowned with the prime in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, in lonely pretty ring-time, when birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Between the acres of the rye, with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny-no, and a hey, nonny-nonny-no, those pretty country folks would lie in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ring-time, when birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. This carol they began that hour, with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny-no, and a hey, nonny-nonny-no. How that our life was but a flower in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ring-time, when birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring.
Truly young gentlemen, though there was no great matter in the ditty, yet the note was very untunable.
You are deceived, sir. We kept time.
We lost not our time.
By my troth, yes. I count it but time lost to hear such a foolish song. God buy you, and God mend your voices. Come, Audrey.
Dost thou believe, Orlando, that the boy can do all this that he hath promised?
I sometimes do believe and sometimes do not, as those that fear they hope and know they fear.
Patience once more, whiles our compact is urged. You say, if I bring in your Rosalind, you will bestow her on Orlando here.
That would I, had I kingdoms to give with her.
You say you'll have her when I bring her.
That would I, were I of all kingdoms king.
You say you'll marry me if I be willing.
That will I, should I die the hour after.
But if you do refuse to marry me, you'll give yourself to this most faithful shepherd.
So is the bargain.
You say that you will have Phoebe if she will.
Though to have her and death were both one thing.
I have promised to make all this matter even. Keep you your word, O Duke, to give your daughter. You yours, Orlando, to receive his daughter. Keep you your word, Phoebe, that you'll marry me, or else refusing me to wed this shepherd, keep your word, Silvius, that you'll marry her if she refuse me. And from hence I go to make these doubts all even.
I do remember in this shepherd boy some lively touches of my daughter's favour.
My lord, the first time that I ever saw him, methought he was a brother to your daughter. But, my good lord, the boy is forest-born, and hath been tutored in the rudiments of many desperate studies by his uncle, whom he reports to be a great magician, obscured in the circle of this forest.
There is sure another flood toward, and these couples are coming to the ark. Here comes a pair of very strange beasts, which in all tongues are called fools.
Salutation and greeting to you all.
Good, my lord, bid him welcome. This is the motley-minded gentleman that I have so often met in the forest. He has been a courtier, he swears.
If any man doubt that, let him put me to my purgation. I've trod a measure. I've flattered a lady. I've been politic with my friend, smooth with mine enemy. I've undone 3 tailors. I've had 4 quarrels, and like to have fought one.
And how was that ta'en up?
Faith, we met, and found the quarrel was upon the 7th cause.
How 7th cause? Good, my lord, like this fellow.
I like him very well.
God ild you, sir. I desire you of the like. I press in here, sir, amongst the rest of the country copulatives to swear, and to forswear, according as marriage binds and blood breaks. A poor virgin, sir. An ill-favoured thing, sir, but mine own. A poor humour of mine, sir, to take that no man else will. Rich honesty dwells like a miser, sir, in a poor house, as your pearl in your foul oyster.
By my faith, he is very swift and sententious.
According to the fool's bolt, sir, and such dulcet diseases.
But for the 7th cause, how did you find the quarrel on the 7th cause?
Upon a lie 7 times removed. Bear your body more seeming, Audrey. As thus, sir. I did dislike the cut of a certain courtier's beard. He sent me word, if I said his beard was not cut well, he was in the mind it was. This is called the retort courteous. If I sent him word again it was not well cut, he would send me word he cut it to please himself. This is called the quip modest. If again it was not well cut, he disabled my judgment. This is called the reply churlish. If again it was not well cut, he would answer, I spake not true. This is called the reproof valiant. If again it was not well cut, he would say, I lie. This is called the countercheck quarrelsome. And so to the lie circumstantial, and the lie direct.
And how oft did you say his beard was not well cut?
I durst go no further than the lie circumstantial, nor he durst not give me the lie direct. And so we measured swords. And parted.
Can you nominate in order, now, the degrees of the lie?
Oh, sir, we quarrelled in print by the book, as you have books for good manners. I will name you the degrees. The first, the retort courteous. The second, the quip modest. The third, the reply churlish. The fourth, the reproof valiant. The fifth, the countercheck quarrelsome. The sixth, the lie with circumstance. The seventh, the lie direct. All these you may avoid, but the lie direct. And you may avoid that, too, with an if. I knew when 7 justices could not take up a quarrel, but when the parties were met themselves, one of them thought but of an if. As, if you said so, then I said so. And they shook hands and swore brothers. Your if is the only peacemaker. Much virtue in if.
Is not this a rare fellow, my lord? He's as good at anything. And yet, a fool.
He uses his folly like a stalking horse, and under the presentation of that, he shoots his wit.
Then is there mirth in heaven, when earthly things made even atone together. Good Duke, receive thy daughter, Hymen from heaven brought her, yea, brought her hither, that thou mightest join her and with his, whose heart within his bosom is.
To you I give myself, for I am yours. To you I give myself, for I am yours.
If there be truth in sight, you are my daughter.
If there be truth in sight, you are my Rosalind.
If sight and shape be true, why then, my love, adieu.
I'll have no father, if you be not he. I'll have no husband, if you be not he. Nor ne'er wed woman, if you be not she.
Peace, ho, I bar confusion. 'Tis I must make conclusion of these most strange events. Here's 8 that must take hands to join in Hymen's bands, if truth holds true contents. You and you no cross shall part. You and you are heart in heart. You to his love must accord, or have a woman to your lord. You and you are sure together, as the winter to foul weather. Whiles a wedlock hymn we sing, feed yourselves with questioning, that reason, wonder may diminish, how thus we met, and these things finish.
Wedding is great Juno's crown, O blessed bond of board and bed.
'Tis Highland people's every town. I wedlock then be honoured.
Honour, high honour, then renown, to Hymen, God of every town. Honour, high honour, then renown, to Hymen, God of every town.
Oh, my dear niece, welcome thou art to me, even daughter welcome in no less degree.
I will not eat my word. Now thou art mine, thy faith, my fancy to thee doth combine.
Let me have audience for a word or two. I am the second son of old Sir Rowland that bring these tidings to this fair assembly. Duke Frederick, hearing how that every day men of great worth resorted to this forest, addressed a mighty power, which were on foot in his own conduct, purposely to take his brother here and put him to the sword. And to the skirts of this wild wood he came, where, meeting with an old religious man, after some question with him, was converted, both from his enterprise and from the world. His crown bequeathing to his banished brother, and all their lands restored to them again that were with him exiled. This to be true, I do engage my life.
Welcome, young man. Thou offerest fairly to thy brother's wedding. To one his lands withheld, and to the other a land itself at large, a potent dukedom. First, in this forest, let us do those ends that here were well begun and well begot. And after, every of this happy number that have endured shrewd days and nights with us shall share the good of our returned fortune according to the measure of their states. Meantime, forget this new fallen dignity and fall into our rustic revelry. Play music, and you brides and bridegrooms all, with measure heaped in joy to the measure's fall.
Sir, by your patience. If I heard you rightly, the Duke hath put on a religious life and thrown into neglect the pompous court.
He hath?
To him will I. Out of these convertites there is much matter to be heard and learned. You, to your former honour I bequeath. Your patience and your virtue well deserves it. You, to a love that your true faith doth merit. You, to your land and love and great allies. You, to a long and well-deserved bed. And you, to wrangling, for thy loving voyage is but for 2 months victualled. So, to your pleasures, I am for other than for dancing measures.
Stay, Jaques, stay.
To see no pastime I, what you would have, I'll stay to know at your abandoned cave.
Proceed, proceed. We'll begin these rites. As we do trust, they'll end in true delights.
It is not the fashion to see the lady the epilogue, but it is no more unhandsome than to see the lord the prologue. If it be true the good wine needs no bush, then 'tis true that a good play needs no epilogue. Yet to good wine they do use good bushes, and good plays prove the better by the help of good epilogues. What a case am I in, then, that am neither a good epilogue, nor cannot insinuate with you on behalf of a good play. I'm not furnished like a beggar, therefore to beg will not become me. My way is to conjure you, and I'll begin with the women. I charge you, O women, for the love you bear to men, to like as much of this play as please you. And I charge you, O men, for the love you bear to women, as I perceive by your simpering none of you hates 'em, that between you and the women the play may please. If I were a woman, I would kiss as many of you as had beards that pleased me, complexions that liked me, and breaths that I defied not, and I'm sure as many as have good beards, or good faces, or sweet breaths, will for my kind offer, when I make curtsy, bid me farewell.